Hello, hello. How are you? Fabulous. Inspired to share some synapses that they're all there. They're all there and they've been waiting to be shared for a few years. And I'm thinking I can deliver it the way I want to deliver it. I'm going like this because I can see it all, but you probably can't. So I'm just going to do my best. So waiting for the invitation to help and letting go of what others think of you. This comes from running across somebody I hadn't seen in a couple years on the socials. And I didn't react the way I used to react anymore because I was hurt. And that situation, it took up a lot of rent in my head. It took up a lot of space, a lot of time, a lot of energy. And even the people in my immediate circles here in Southern California, there wasn't enough, I wasn't able to go, I could dish it, but you can't keep sharing the same story over and over and over. It was finally the big lesson I had from a friend of mine that was like, well, what is your part in this? That you keep doing this song and dance in your head. And I'm like, I allowed it to happen. So I forgave myself and I moved on. And I was also very curious because this person has a child. And that is why I became heavily involved in their life. The child to me needed a parent. There was enough stuff I saw without having to call authorities or anything where I'm like, I can help here. I'm going to help. And I was much older than this person too. And the child was very young. The child would say things to me like, I want to stay with you. Don't leave. Take me with you. When I did see where they lived, there was mold on toothbrush. Like it was not a healthy environment. But I didn't press on that. I just said, how can I help? This must be my mission. I'm going to get in there. And I put myself out there for this person. I was a single mom myself with a crazy overhead and my own business. And I lent them a car. I lent them my home. I was trying to, not put them on payroll, but I was trying to have an exchange so they didn't feel like it was a handout. I was trying to be a present in their life. I wasn't asked to be, though. I just was like, my heart. I know what I can do. Let me jump in. Cut to a couple instances where I was around their life and the child's, both the parents were together and there was drugs involved. There was a lot happening. Guilty by association, I later come to find out that there are rumors about me and meth. Now, I know I have some crazy energy, especially when I started doing all this vlogging a couple years ago. But I figured out kind of how to harness it. And to be honest, when I did do drugs, I was doing fresh bricks bound in leather of cocaine fresh from the Armenian mobster. So I was doing some good shit. I wouldn't bother with meth. Been there, done that with that stuff, the pure, clean, good stuff. Even the ecstasy and everything. Everything I did was always with coveted. It was really the best kind of product you could get. So anyway, and that was more than a decade ago. But I digress. But that was one of the rumor mills that I had to let go. I had to let go of what people thought of me. And when I started hearing, even in the disclosure communities, oh, did you hear that she did this? I was like, oh my God. Well, wait till they have a conversation with me. So then they can change their mind. But it was pretty distressing for a moment. But anyhow, so when I knew this child was in this home and these things were happening, I kicked it up a notch. I went out of town even with my kids to help my dying father, and I lent my house. And apparently there were people that came over. Just stuff happened. I never quite got the lesson of, do they want this or are you being used? Cut to several months later, I was already in the middle of hosting in Los Angeles. I was a safe place for people to gather. A lot of us met online. A lot of us met out in public, but then we wanted to just not do that. We wanted to hang out for like 9 hours. So I would always host. And this was a very small one, but it was another like spiritual high vibe. We talked Q, we talked all the things. And this gal and her daughter, which I'm glad came because my son and her really hit it off. And she brought some others with her, others even in the community, as well as the addict dad. There were enough signs at that gathering where I'm like, gosh, what's wrong with this one particular person? Like they're not even, there were signs, again, ignored. But it wasn't until the next morning at the breakfast table where my daughter was sitting among her stuff that was left on our kitchen table, because the gatherings were usually outside. And she picks up this aluminum foil and shows me, Mom, what's this? And it was heroin residue. And now I connected what that guy was doing at my house at a spiritual gathering with children present, including his own. And he continued to drive that night. But I was like, what? What? Because now my kids are involved. But what did I do? All I did was text her, are you okay? Do you need help? That time I asked, but I didn't do anything crazy. I just was like, can I help? What is it? Like, girl, 24 hours go by, I never hear anything. I finally sent a picture of the foil and, are you okay? Do you need any help? All I got was, what do you want me to do about it? That was my first dagger, because I'm like, whoa, okay. Are you safe? Do you need me to come down and get you? Absolute deadpan and ghosting. Come to find out, the same people that came over that day, as well as some others in the disclosure community, started ghosting me. And then those rumors started. I had, for the sake of my sanity, I had to let go of taking control of this narrative, trying to save this child who clearly wasn't meant to be saved. There was nothing to save because they were all in it. I had to let it go. And my story got so repetitive, even to my own personal community members here, that I'm like hearing myself. I'm like, I'm at a loss. How do I move forward from this? I was so triggered by this person's name, by all my community members still being involved with them. And they were young. There were a lot of excuses and things, but honestly, my heart pain was, but I couldn't help them. Oh my gosh, like I failed, or they didn't hear me, or maybe I needed to do it different and all these things. No, they didn't want to be helped. Not only that, Heidi, but you were used. That was such a like ding, 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 especially when I had to look around as the single mom and go, focus on them. They're the ones with the invitation going, Mom, help me. Not the ones who are not asking for your help. And I was reminded in that time finally by a friend of mine who actually told me the same lesson that clearly I hadn't learned, because this was a heavy one. Just a little bit prior to that, I let a family of 4 move into my then not home, but tiny apartment to assist them in their time of need. Now, that was an invitation. They did say, can you help us? I said, heck yeah. And however, I ignored all the signs because I was knee deep in Pizzagate. And this was 2016. I was knee deep in like the British are coming, like trying to wake everybody up. So to me, fine, yes, come into the apartment, help me with my kids. I was shrinking. Like it was supposed to be 2 weeks and it lasted almost 3.5 months. I covered all the bills. I adhered to their routine, their schedule. I laid on the floor under my kids' loft bed. I lost my bedroom. I lost other things. And I allowed it to happen. Again, my story, when these people finally like, aren't you mean? When it was come Christmas time, I'm like, can you please leave? It's a tiny apartment. My mom is coming. Like, I want my home back. Like, I did all that I could do, and I could go on for days about that storyline, but I won't, because the biggest lesson was I thought, our ego thought, if I do this, the universe will help me. That's not how it works. There needs to be not an invitation from them to use me, but there needs to be an equal energy balance. And it was definitely not that. And it took a kind-hearted friend who kept hearing my story and actually came over and like, tell me again, just so, because I was just like not able to resolve it myself. And all she did is forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. And I was like, what? And you allowed this to happen. And it was like a very humbling aha moment of, your repeated stories, the people who take up rent in your space, you're allowing them in there. That's yours. This is yours. Who are you allowing in to make your daily narrative, and why? So, humbled from those experiences, that last one scared me because it involved a child, not just my child who found these things, but the little girl that was involved. And then I realized she's their lesson. She's their teacher. She's the starseed who showed up to teach them some things. And I cannot pull a Clockwork Orange and pull their eyes open and make them see the lesson. I can't do that. So I've got to bow out gracefully and let it go and stop worrying about what they're telling others or what these rumors are about me, because I was trying to help, basically. And do I really care what people think of me when the truth is that, well, here's the truth. And if others did care, they would reach out. They would get the other side of the story. They would be like, hey, I'm hearing this. What do you want to say about this? But nobody ever really did that. Not with that situation. So it took a long time to get over. Our little group continued on and we got fairly big, but I'll just never forget that feeling of helplessness and that like, oh my God, I'm trying to help. And then they didn't want it. They were choosing to live like that. They were choosing to expose their child to that. They were choosing to be very heavily involved in this disclosure community. They still are, and in their own ways. And I chose not to disclose names and share stories. I had to pick up my big girl britches and realize I had a lot to offer and it was taken advantage of. Why do I just feel like that was an ego thing to say? Oh, the conditioning. I had a lot to offer and it wasn't needed or wanted. So I had to let it go. So I came across this person again in my socials, and I haven't in a very long time, and I didn't feel anything. But what I did is scroll and snoop a little bit, and I saw that little girl's face. And I saw in her eyes, and she's meant to be there. She's doing what she needs to do. And I did my best. When you do your best and you do go through your heart, whether you get tripped up in emotions and communications, or if you get tripped up in your own, insecurities that you're working on yourself, then, I mean, that's a lot of work there. But you can't keep pulling other people into your narratives and playing the victim. You are choosing to make this your story. And it doesn't have to be. It can be a chapter. It could be, what are those, what's it called when you put the number next to it and then you have to reference the back of it? I wasn't very active in school. So yeah, that was a little message. And when I came across, that's a message I want to share. And when I came across this person, knowing it didn't affect me that like they did before, I just thought of that whole situation again. I was like, wow, was that a painful lesson? Because a lot of times, some of the deep-rooted old school ones that maybe you've carried on lifetimes, they're just painful. Work through it and understand the part you're in. I feel like I've done a vlog like this before where it's like, understand the part you play, but it is so important, especially when I start seeing people now that the holidays are coming, now that they're not getting the reactions they want from other people, or they're not getting their needs met by others. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing with my hair. It's what I do. When I'm seeing a lot of that, it just made me think of like, I will read somebody sing and I'll be like, oh, honey, let it go. Like, just let it go. They're taking up your space, your creativity, and they don't deserve you. They don't deserve that. Well, that's kind of rude, but it's true, because they're not doing it for you. You're not taking up space in their head. So to humble yourself, to let go enough to not care what others think is a big deal. One super really quick word. Oh, cool. That's still a little long. Speaking of what others think of you, I've had to do this for a while. I've often been a little bit misunderstood, or, I've also run with so many different circles of people. Part of me just, even in high school, I was never in one clique. I had friends in all of the cliques. I never went to house parties, but I was kind to everybody. And for that, I also wasn't very close. I had like 2 good girlfriends. How is that story coming into my kid's dad? Well, my kid's dad, there were rumors on set, and set is major and big and all of that. But how he and I came to be, the worst one was breaking up his family. Like I'm a fucking hussy. That was the situation. But the real situation, and why I never married him, never took his name, and he's not partly not in our lives. He chooses not to be in my kids' lives, but I chose to not have him in mine in that regards. Hence, he's like, well, I'm out of here. If you're not mine, then you're nothing. Was the fact that after I was pregnant, after he said, I'm not going to say all of the things, but come to find out he was still legally married with 3 kids. And I knew this guy 5 years. Partied in Vegas with all our friends. We did all this stuff. And there were no friends. There was no wife. Motion picture industry, man, is full of so many freaking characters. So when I did have that child, and I did try to break the spell, and I tried to make it work, and I tried to bring him in, because I'm like, I'll be damned if I'm a freaking side piece hussy. I even took on the other kids. I was killing the lady with kindness. She and I didn't, have to meet, but those kids knew I meant well. I took care of their Easter baskets, birthdays. Like I was all in for a few years, because I'm like, see, I just showed you, I'm not that gal that you're saying I am. And I broke that spell. We can break the spells that people put on us with their assumptions and their opinions by being truly authentic and not giving a shit what they say about you when it's made up or manufactured or a really bad game of telephone. It's a lot of work to chase down other people and be like, what? Don't think that of me. That's, they're gonna ask you if they want to find out. But most of the time they don't care. So let it go. Now I'm going off record, and I probably could have, should have, would have ended it when I wanted to. But to be honest, those were some 3 hardcore lessons. The kid's dad and the rumor mill of how that happened. And it was after I said, I'm keeping this kid and I'm doing this. And I never was not, because I was making really good money, mid to late 30s. All my girlfriends were like, we're all having a kid. Let's do this. Woo. It was when I was enough along. Even my parents were like, who with who? Like you were like, your business booming, you're doing this, I didn't even know you were still out dating. Like, how did this happen? Like, it must be yours. They were all like, that's great. Fine, have the child. It wasn't about the guy. But when I found out the truth about the guy, when he goes, okay, that's great. And no, I'm not going anywhere. Because I said, I have enough money. I don't need you in my life. If this isn't what you want, I'm still going to do it anyway. And thank you, but no, thank you. I'm not up for this. No, I've been chasing you for years. I'm going to make this work. Yes, they got legally divorced. Yes, things changed, but his character did not. That's why he was in the situation of getting someone else pregnant in the first place. There I went on with that story again. I guess I had to get that out. Oh, no, it doesn't feel right. And I don't want to do this over again. I'm a one-take wonder kind of gal, so. What was the invitation with him, though? Nothing. I was just having, it was meant to be. I was supposed to be with this toxic fellow. My children chose us. But the invitations to help. Yeah, there's a lot of do unto others and give unconditionally. 'Tis the season of giving. Putting yourself out there for communities, for not talking about disclosure communities. I'm talking about impoverished communities, or there is an invitation there. They're seeking help. They're asking. There is an energy exchange. You see hearts light up when you treat them with bounties or give donations or give them your time. When it is not an even exchange and you give and you give and you give, it's on you now. You got to stop. You got to say, is this balanced? Am I giving what they're asking for? Is this being received? And then get yourself off the freaking hamster wheel. It's really nice to move on. It's nice to not be triggered. I can just say that much. And if by chance any of my pals from those old backyard of my old place hangout days and who know the story I'm speaking of come across this, I have healed and I have forgiven. Hallelujah. We should have a gathering just to celebrate that. But I see I'm all still friends with those people online. And those people, again, are very big in this community. But to me, it's no wonder why every so often I'm ghosted because, well, that's not true. To me, it's no wonder why there are certain people I don't connect with. And that is all a-okay because everything is as it should be. And we meet the right people at the right time. When I did that QHT session with Taylor Moon, that was the biggest lesson over and over again. Do not worry what others think of you. Shine bright, and the right ones will find you. So here's to healing. Here's to a season of giving and receiving through the heart, equally and balanced. Here's to giving unconditionally, even when there's no invitation. And letting it go with no attachments, not giving unconditionally, going, oh yeah, thank you, please, Jesus, please, God, now you're going to repay me with, now a magical house is going to happen. There's a thing about being a good person without expecting reward. Even when you're down and out and sleeping on the floor under your kid's bunk, helping other people and going mad and chewing children's Tylenol every other night because you think you're having a heart attack because you can't believe you put yourself in this position. Even when you get to that stage, you surrender, you get on those knees and say, what is it you do want and how can you align yourself with that mission? Because getting pissy at somebody else is only going to bring you down. I sure hope I covered all that. Well, we'll see. We'll see if I even ever share this. So stay in the heart. Learn your lessons and let it go. Okay.